Good Tuesday morning to you. This is Ann White, and this is Morning Coffee. I lost my coffee cup for a minute. And here where we sit and we enjoy our coffee and we chat. And who am I chatting with today? Today, the usual, we have Kat Magendie coming to us from her closet in Texas. Good morning, Kat.
Good morning.
And coming from the lake house in Louisiana, is Angie Ledbetter. Good morning, Angie.
Good morning.
What a view. You've got you win the beautiful scene of the day. What a paradise to be sitting out at your lake house.
It's nice.
Yeah. And when we started, just before we went on the air, I was asking Angie, too, is that a wonderful creativity? I mean, do you get more creative when you're there, or do you just let down and want to go take a nap and read a book? What's the energy like for you when you go to the lake house?
It bounces between those two things, the recuperation, taking naps, drinking coffee, and creating.
Yeah, what a paradise. What a paradise. Oh, and somebody just got a text.
I know. I don't know how to turn that off.
That's okay. We'll know how popular. Let's count the
Can you see what the text say?
You could, yeah. And then you have to read it out loud.
Oh, I need to turn that off.
It's a good text, huh?
I don't know, but you can't read my text when they come up, can you?
Oh, no, we can't. No, we can't.
Oh shoot. I was blushing.
Oh, that's what's good. I thought you already read it, and it was like a thank you for last night or something like that. Okay.
Oh, I just had a flush come up because I thought you said you could read my text on the air. The text that can't. Oh.
Well, that got you going this morning. You don't need coffee. You just need the thought of us reading your text. Wild woman.
Scared the crap out of me. Okay.
So where we're going to start today is the life of an artist. And I think the best way to start is, who is an artist? What does it mean to be an artist? And Angie, you're our dabbler. Why don't you take us started? What is an artist when you think of that word?
I think an artist is anyone who creates something that comes from their inside, not necessarily something to be mass-produced or sold or whatever. Something that's on the inside of them that they feel compelled to let out.
Okay, and how broad would that be? Cooking?
Cooking.
Okay.
Really broad. Anything that you do from your heart or from your interior that is your goal to express something within yourself and share with others.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Kat, how would do you agree, and how would you tinker with that a little bit?
I am of the mind that everyone can be an artist of some kind, create, just the difference between Angie, you, me, or someone that is considered an artist or a writer or author or novelist or writer, whatever is, we actually write it down or we create something and not just think about it. And that's really the only difference. I think everyone is creative and has the potential to be some kind of creative being, an artist. So some of us just manifested in different ways.
And I like that last piece that you put onto what Angie said. We actually create it, we don't just think about it. Because maybe the big key, so many people are creative. I've met people who say, well, I'd love to write a book. I'm thinking about to write a book, but a writer writes. And so you've got to get it out, and butt in chair, fingers on keyboard, you've got to write to be a writer, as opposed to thinking about being a writer. Angie, describe your art, because you've got a very broad art. What kind of artist are you? What's your medium?
I love to doodle with my Sharpies on mixed media sketch pads. It's sort of like Zentangle, if you've ever heard of that, but it's more like Zen Doodle. Photography, of course, poetry, writing, and I'll try different things. I was doing decoupage, which was popular in the 70s, so doing collages a lot, mixed media collages, because you can pull different forms together and put them together. I guess that's a dabbler's heaven where you can pull different things together and make one whole.
Yeah, exactly. And do you sell your work?
I've been in a few shows, so I have, but that's not my drive or my goal. I mean, I do it because I feel the need to. Like, I found this coffee table on the side of the road. You can see this little coffee table,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
I collaged it from a book, nature book, and that just because I wanted to, because it made me happy. It'll
Uh-huh.
never be sold, and nobody would ever want that, but I just felt a drive to do it.
That create.
I think recycling is a lot of what I do. Like cooking, I'll recycle leftover food into something else. That table on the side of the road, I said, oh no, I can do something with that.
Yeah. And I think when you're creative, your mind is always looking for new ways to do something.
True. I believe that too.
Yeah. Now, Kat, you are an author. You have numerous books now because you're doing your short stories. You probably don't even have a number on you. If I said how many books do you have on Amazon right now, would you know?
There's 5 in a novella that's in an anthology of the novels. So I think I have that right. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
And then there's some short stories, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been enjoying your shorts. I've been enjoying your shorts this summer. Your short stories. But so that's your main creative thrust. Would you say? 'Cause I know you have other talents.
Yeah, writing is my main because I'm so chaotic. And often unorganized, like I admire what Angie does because in other that are multi I said something else multi creative because I'm because I tend to be more focused on the writing and if I try to do other things I'd probably be able to do them creatively but I won't do them unless someone makes me.
Yeah. I knew you had done some photography, and I hate to mention that because we know that your camera took a swim.
It did in the Louisiana Bayou.
But you were able to save your card, right?
I did, and I do love photography. But what happens is, unlike Angie as well, I won't fiddle with mine enough to make them, really have that real professional creative edge. I'll fiddle with them a little bit, and then I just tend to grow bored. I bore easily, which is not a good thing. The only thing that I don't bore easily with is, or one of the main things I don't bore easily with is my writing.
Mm-hmm.
All the other creative stuff, I will easily become bored. My brain will start jittering off somewhere. So I'm a jittery person. Like if you could see me right now, I'm hiding my hands because they're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, as that's another way to look at the art. And for me, I guess I have a general creativity. I'm probably more like Angie. I have about 4 books out and quite a few anthologies where I write, but I don't have a genre. And I think that when we look at creating a market, a genre is important. I have a book on spirit, I have a book on pets, I have a book on trauma. So they're very different and have very different audiences. So if I wanted to be commercial, probably a genre would be important. And now I'm trying to learn how to use a video camera, and I don't know how long that'll last, but we'll see. But I think that creative people keep popping ideas, whether they come, and they always come from the heart, whether we do it from, as Angie does it, a lot of different media, as Kat does it with the focused eye of a writer, as a chef might do it. And then the thought comes, as Angie was saying, she does a lot of it for herself. Kat, being a published author, and you're published by a publishing house, there comes the ups and downs of making a living as an author. And that's got to have a roller coaster ride, I would think. What's it like as an author when you're putting your work out there for sale?
Oh, God. It changes everything because let's take, for example, my first novel. When I wrote that, I wrote that because I wanted to. I created this Virginia Kate character who I adored, and all the other characters, and they were just, it was like I was the little god in my own little universe and created all these things, and it was able to unleash a lot of things in my brain. It was absolutely wonderful, and I wrote it for me, wrote what I felt compelled or wanted to write or how I wanted to write it. But once your first book is published, it changes everything because money and other people's opinions become involved, which is why I never, ever, ever read reviews. I don't. My editor said, don't read them. And after my first book came out, and I don't. So, because you don't want the opinions of others to affect, what you write, and they will. You'll become mired in all that, and I don't want that. But the money part of it is a huge thing. It does affect your writing because you start thinking of your success or who you are or how you write and what kind of writer you are based on how much money you're making or if your book is such and so on Amazon. Two of my books have been #1 bestsellers on Amazon, and I do make money, but it's never enough. The whatever you have is never enough. You're always looking for that next rung on the ladder, and it never ends. So unless you find some way to back off from that and go back to the roots of writing what you love and what excites you, you'll never be satisfied. You'll always be unhappy in the writing life, and so I'm kind of struggling with that right now. I now have one income. I'm single now, so with one income, I'm scared to death. My writing isn't going to support me, so it becomes I either have to say, well, it's not going to ever support me, and I'm going to have to do something else with the writing, and then let that go. And I think that is going to help my writing in the long run because I'll go back to writing what I want to write. It's a terrible thing to mix it up with the money and with what people think about your writing, but you do have to find some way to work around that so you won't be unhappy, so you won't be stressed about it.
You have to take away that pressure so to allow your creative juices to really flow, it sounds like.
Yeah, I will always be able to write.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit the writing comes easy for me. It's, the story doesn't always. I can bang out words like nothing, and they'll be beautiful words, and I can create characters. I'm good at characterization, but to write something that's going to be popular or that a lot of people will read, that's a whole different animal. You can't predict that, very easily. I can't, So
nobody can, even though they say they can. Nobody
right.
can predict that.
Yeah, it's accidental a lot of times, Now there are people that write for the market, and they do well. But I find it difficult to do that. So.
What were the 2 books that were on the bestsellers, Amazon bestseller?
Tender Grace is my first book. When it first came out, they did a promo. Publishers did a promo, and it just went right up to. It was #1 over The Help. The Help was #2, and I was #1. I was pretty chuffed about that.
Yeah.
Sweetie,
I hope you took the picture of the screen when that happened, so you'll always have that.
I didn't know enough about ebook, because it went on the ebook bestseller, and I didn't know enough about Kindles and ebooks at the time, so I had no idea it was even #1 until someone told me. So I missed all the fun of that because I didn't understand it at the time. And Sweetie, was it Sweetie or Lightning Charmer? No,
Sweetie.
It was Sweetie. Yeah. So I think Lightning Charmer went to Lightning Charmer was #1 on, like, in the women's fiction and Supernatural or something like that. It wasn't #1 overall, but so I guess I've had 3 being #1 places. But Tender Grace has made it #1 on the top list of all books for at least a week, or maybe it was a few days or a week, and I was that was pretty awesome. So.
It was. And, one of the things, first of all, if you have not read any of Kat's books, you owe it to yourself. She's a fabulous storyteller. You feel like I think it was Sweetie or I forget, the Lightning Charmer, we were running through the mountain, and you just felt like you're right there. You can smell them out, and you're getting scraped by the things. So make sure you check those out. I don't know. I don't even think I have a favorite. I love them all. But one of the things that's interesting about knowing you is having that skill and being number one and writing such great books. You're still a very humble person. And you don't, well, I don't know if that's humble. You don't go around on social media posting your stuff. You don't promote on social media. Is there a reason you don't do that?
Oh, you know, I'm supposed to, and every now and then I'll have to get on there and say something. You know, you want people to know your stuff's out there. But even when I knew I was going to have more income, because, you know, having one income, I thought, well, I'm going to get on there and I'm going to start promoting my writing and I'm going to start marketing and blah, blah, blah. Well, it never happened. I'm not good at it for one reason, but for another, there's so many other people doing it. I feel like it's so much white noise. I know it irritates me when someone constantly, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, that I want to tell them to shut up. And I know we kind of have to do it, but I just find it so distasteful and uncomfortable that it's not worth it for me. It's not worth it for me to put myself out there like that and feel so uncomfortable. So I only do it when I have some news, or if I have a new short story up, or my books are on promo or something like that, because it doesn't set well with me. And it's not that I think I'm better than that. It's just I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable, so I'm not going to do it. So
right. Yes, you're not.
I'm not going to do it. So, you know.
I love it. And really it makes sense because you would rather do your creative art of writing.
Oh, yeah, I would rather write it and hope for the best. You know, I believe in my work. I'm good at it, and it's just there's so much competition. There's so many other people screaming for attention, and I just didn't want to be one of the ones jumping up and down, look at me, look at me. I hope my work stands for itself, but it doesn't always, you know. So I made my choice, and I'll just have to lie in that bed, and you know, that's it. So.
Angie, what do you think about the duality of creating and promoting? That's part of an author or an artist's life in many ways today?
It is. What she said about how it changes things is so true. Like 10 years ago when we did our inspirational book, it was a co-authored book, it was, you had your goal in mind was just to get it done, get it published, put it out there for people. And then you have to get into the terrible world of promotion and commercialism and social media, and you feel like you turned in you were working at a carnival behind the scenes, you were the ticket taker or the bearded woman, me, or whatever, and then you have to be the carnival hawker. It just changes everything, and I think the experience of that, it was right when self-publishing was booming, and there was so much more competition and everything was in flux that really, it turned me off a lot about wanting to do that again, because it took away the joy and the goal of self-fulfillment and made it more commercial. So that's probably one of the reasons why my women's fiction manuscript is still sitting, waiting for me to finish editing and revising it. So it does change everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I was listening to Kat talk, I realized, too, and, you know, sometimes we forget these things, but I see so many authors who are on social media spending so much time promoting their book that they're not writing. And if your skill is to write, if your passion is to write, if you've got stories to tell them. And I appreciate what you say, Kat, because although I do a lot of social media for Creating Calm Network, that's very different than promoting the detail of my creativity. So
And
that's
you're promoting others, so that's fulfilling. You're promoting others more than promoting yourself.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with like an author or an artist or someone who gets out there and promote. And some are really good at it, and some enjoy that part of it. I don't, so you know, and when I try to pretend I do, it makes me so uncomfortable you know, it's kind of it's frustrating and difficult to be a novelist because you do need to make money. You know, I mean, this was my income for
Your career.
years. You know, for several years. But I had another income to back me up. So if I didn't make that much money on a, you know, I get paid twice a year. So if I didn't make that much money, well, you know, I wasn't going to lose my house. You know, I wasn't going to go hungry. Um, so it's all, the game has changed now, but it still doesn't change how I think about it. So I find that even though I need to make more money I still balk at promoting and marketing my work. So, you know, it's not an easy life. So if you do it, you need to find some way to do it out of love and out of the creative endeavor, and not focus so much on how much money you're going to make, because you may find that you'd be very, very frustrated by that.
Right. Yeah. I sometimes with the Creating Calm Network, I will interview people who have the goal to write the book and then believe that that's it and it'll take off like on magic wings. And I just want to say, oh, that's the easy part probably. You know, because the rest is not going to be quite as what you think it is. But you don't want to get in anybody's way, so I just kind of back up and, you know,
It
it'll
happens for some. Some
Yeah.
people it does happen. Some people write a book and it somehow something happens and it takes off, and there you go, you know. But
they're in the
99
vast minority.
times out of 100, that is not going to, or 99.9 times out of 100, that's not going to happen. You know, about 1% of authors make enough to really live well on. That's 1%. You know, that, and I may be being generous. So, you know, just writers out there, new writers, just, you know, ground yourself in some reality, and don't quit your job until you're sure.
Keep your other job, that's right. But what I feel when you talk is just the passion of storytelling. And it just seems that you wouldn't want to take someone who's a passionate storyteller and say, okay, now be a hawker and a marketer. Because that's really then not what you do. You tell stories.
Yeah.
So it just seems like it's an unnatural thing to do to an artist. And it's too bad we have to do that today.
Yeah. Yeah. My publishers do some, so, you know, but authors are expected to do a fair amount of it. It's just, I'm sure my publishers are quite frustrated by my by my not doing as much as I should.
Hey, but you're on a radio show, so here we go. Sweetie, Tender Graces, The Lightning Charmer. Go out, rush right out today and get those books, and you will thank us for doing it. And get a cup of coffee and enjoy. There we go. We made your publishers happy today. Angie, you, I think, you would call yourself an artist. You are an artist. What is it like in your life? How does that work? Can you put your art first at this time? Because you are a wife, you're a mother. How do you fit in your artistic goals in a lifestyle?
Now I can create until the cows come home, because, like you said, I've been the mama for 30 years with stepkids and kids, and now that they're all adults, I can do what I want to do. And my husband has his own hobbies and gigs, so I do pretty much what I want to do when I want to do it with my different creative things.
How did you balance your urges, your artistic urges, when you were trying to balance a household of kids, stepkids, hubby? How did you find time?
If there was any hours left in the day after cooking, cleaning, running to social events, school, I was teaching, working also. If there was any time left in the day or on a weekend, I did do something just to keep myself from going totally nuts.
Yeah. Because I think that's hard for a lot of people who, as we say, you don't quit your day job, and yet you have these stories to tell or paintings to paint, photographs to capture. How do you fit that in? And finding that time, it could be very frustrating. I see Starbucks is full of authors sometimes who have to get away from a noisy house. Who was Maya Angelou rented a hotel room, I think, to go do her writings. She had to write out of the house a lot. I'm not sure if I think it was Maya Angelou who would go to a hotel room. So that's a hard thing to do. Did you, Kat? Did you ever have a challenge on finding time, or were you pretty much since you were the twosome and things to? Of course, you were raising your son too. Were you writing when you were raising your son?
Not really. I
Okay.
wrote a little poetries and essays and things like that, but I didn't write for many, many years. In fact, I was in my 40s before I started really writing seriously, because I lost that identity while I was a mother and a wife, and uh, I just, at the time, who I was married to, I pretty much was responsible for everything. It was like almost like being a single mother.
Mhm.
So my attention, and I worked full time. And I know there's stories of writers that get in the closet at 4 o'clock in the morning and write their books and, then toddle off to work. I think most of those were men though. So, but I didn't, I didn't write until my 40s, and that only because I took some classes at LSU, and I had two English instructors say, if you don't write, you're a fool. You have a gift, and you're wasting it. And that, because I went in to be into kinesiology and I was going to be some kind of trainer or physical therapist or something, and that just it did something to me. It brought back all the old thoughts of me writing, and that started it off. So, but no, all the times I was a mother, all those years, didn't really write at all. It's gone. Won't get that back.
So that's really, I think, a challenge for so many young creative people is to find and realize that that's important and to carve out some time. But sometimes you can't, and so I think that's the message now for women our age is blossom, do it. If you have a creative urge, now's a wonderful time to go out and whether it's art or photography or writing or cooking, claim your time and just let it flow. So it's just a frustrating life, I would say, but it's got so much joy when you're doing it from your heart. From your heart.
There are
Well,
things
you
you can
can't go wrong
do.
with that.
Pardon me?
Right.
Yeah.
There are things you can do when you're in the mothering stage. You can pour it into your cooking. You can write poetry, which isn't as time consuming. You can find a way to have an outlet.
Yeah, I remember my mom. She didn't start painting, and she's passed now, but until she was probably 60, and then started painting these beautiful pictures. So I knew she had it in her. And I think back when we were kids, she always set a plate, even though we were very poor, and it was probably just very, beans and things like that. She always tried to put a little color on it, and she always said you have to set a plate with color. And so she would make very artistic plates. She wrote poems, and sometimes when she was sitting there, and then she would sketch us. So she had little ways, but I don't think I ever realized the frustration she must have had of having to wait until she had her time before she started painting. I oftentimes wondered what would have happened if she had painted all along. Of course, and then she had my dad, he would retire, who would stand behind her. Put a little white over. I would have poked him in the eye with my brush. I'm painting a thing, and then she's got this guy standing behind her, and put a little thing over there. Yeah, go get your own damn hobby. But anyway, that's just me, and that's why I'm single. So, but the life of an artist. So as we bring her in for landing, how would you describe the life of an artist, Kat?
Oh Lord.
You want Angie to take the first while you're
Yeah,
thinking?
yeah, Angie, you go first. You go
Go,
first.
Angie, go. Go, Angie, go.
Oh, the life of an artist. It's the good life, the best life, however you can carve it out, throw it together. You're creating something and giving something back. So it's so motivating to get up in the morning and have the ability and the tools to create something, anything. That's the artist life to me.
Yeah, and you do it in a way because you're not as commercial. It's a little more rewarding, I would think. When you say if you started really hawking your wares, would you find that more frustrating?
Absolutely. That's why I'm so glad I don't have to depend on it for my finances, and that would take all the joy out of it for me. I might as well go do nails in a salon.
I love your photography, though. I can't get enough of it. So I guess thank goodness for Facebook, but I don't know if there's other ways, it just, they're so beautiful. So do you ever think of doing an exhibit with them, or do you have a plan for your photography?
I've been in a few art shows and sold a few, and if somebody says they like it, if they're a friend of mine, I'll just usually send them the picture they like. But it is fun and exciting to be in a show, just to get out around people. So that is fun, but I don't have to do it. I'm not tied to it. So
Yeah.
it is good.
I went to an art show this weekend, and I felt sad. Some of the vendors were just sitting there, and this one woman looked like she was going to cry. Nobody was going by her booth, and it was the second day, and I thought, geez, that's got to be really hard when you sit there with all of the stuff that you've made. And then my brother, who is an author who has his day job, said that he felt like that when he was doing a book signing, but thank goodness all of his friends came, so he wasn't just sitting there with his book.
And
so
sometimes your friends don't come, and then you do.
yeah.
And then I don't do book signings anymore. I love meeting readers. That's one of the most awesome things is when I get mail from readers, or I meet readers, or sometimes I get mail that just breaks my heart, and sometimes I get mail that lifts me up. And I remember why I do this, because the thought that someone is actually picking up your book, something you wrote, you created, like in a closet or whatever, all by yourself, something you created, and someone else is enjoying that and is affected by it. How awesome is that? You can't replace that with anything, with any money. I mean, money is good. We all need it. But you cannot replace that with the knowledge that someone is lying in bed at night reading your book, or can't put it down. They're turning the pages, and they're feeling things, and they're seeing things, and they're experiencing things, and you created that in their head. How awesome is that? That is just, for me, my readers are everything. They're everything. If somebody said, well, I'll give you $2 million, well, that would be hard to but, no one will ever read your books, but I'm going to give you $2 million, just to give me all your creative. I would really have to think about that. As much as I would need the money, I would really have to think about that. So, my readers are everything. That's my thrust. I think about them when I put down my work for the day. I hope they like that. I hope they do. So.
And I think then that answers the question about part of an artist's life is knowing that you have touched so many other people all around, and people you'll never meet and people you'll never know, but somehow you've touched them, you've given them a treat or an experience. So that's part of the answer, I guess. Oh, well, thank you very much, ladies, for another morning coffee. I don't even think we got much of our coffee in today. We're so busy talking.
I can hear my heartbeat in my ears. I think I've had too much.
Are you still drinking with your Mountain Girl cup? Is that the same cup you've got?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
There's your Mountain Girl. Okay. And mine is, I went to the art show, like I said, this weekend, so I have a new piece of pottery cup. There's another one, a little different than my other, but treated myself to another. And what are you drinking from today, Miss Angie?
It looks like a Christmas cup with flying reindeer. My neighbor across the cove's generator just started up, so that's what the loud roar is.
The peaceful lake house with the loud roar. And we know Kat's on the way to a trip to the other coast, to Oregon, so we'll see how we're going to connect or what we're going to do. It'll all be good. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful week. Have a cup of joe, and if you have any creativity, just let it soar and have fun. Take care. Bye-bye.